Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're all about focus, like laser focus, diving deep into the power of focus.
Oh, a classic.
It is, right? This book's all about how focus isn't just about, working yourself to the bone. It's more about working smart. Like, it's the secret weapon to actually getting to those goals, and building a life you actually enjoy, not just survive.
Yeah, it's packed with insights for sure.
Totally. We'll be breaking down stuff like the 80-20 rule,
Ah,
which basically says you can actually get more done by doing less, kind of mind-blowing. And then there's this super cool analogy with a magnifying glass.
okay.
It sounds a little out there at first, but trust me, it makes sense. Plus, we'll be looking at why knowing your why is so crucial to, keeping you going when things get tough. You ready to unleash that inner focus ninja?
Let's do it.
All right, so the book kicks off by, really emphasizing why focus is such a big deal, especially now when there are distractions everywhere. I swear, my phone's notifications are like a symphony of, look at me.
Right. The constant battle for our attention, isn't it? The book's point is that without focus, we just spread ourselves too thin, ending up busy, but not really making headway on the things that really matter.
Yeah, it's so true. I
Yeah,
think we've all been there, feeling super busy, but not actually moving forward on our goals. You know what I mean?
absolutely. That power of focus uses this really cool analogy of a magnifying
Oh,
glass.
yeah.
It shows how powerful concentrated effort can be. Like, just as focused sunlight can start a fire, focused energy can really ignite your goals. It's all about that intensity that leads to big results.
I love that. It paints such a vivid picture. What's cool is that the book then goes deep into goal setting, and it's not just about dreaming big. There's a whole step-by-step guide that takes all the guesswork out of it.
Exactly. The first step is all about getting crystal clear on what you really want, whether it's in your career, relationships, personal growth, you name it. And the key here is you don't just think about it, you write it down.
I've heard that before, but I've always been kind of skeptical. What's so special about actually writing it down? Does it really make that much of a difference?
It's about solidifying your commitment. It's like a contract with yourself. When you put pen to paper, you're making a promise. Acknowledging these goals are actually important to you.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've got our goals down on paper. What's next?
So then you break those big goals, which can feel overwhelming, into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Right.
That way, it's less daunting and you can start taking action right away,
It's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant?
one bite at a time.
Exactly. And deadlines, they're super important too, right?
Absolutely. The book really hammers home the importance of deadlines for each of those smaller steps.
Yeah.
It creates a sense of urgency,
Yeah.
keeps you accountable and helps you stay on track.
Deadlines, even for small tasks, can be such a game changer. Okay, so we've got our goals broken down, we've got deadlines. But then there's this whole 80-20 rule thing. It sounds kind of mysterious. What's the deal with that?
It's not really a secret code, but it can feel like a superpower once you get it. It's also known as the Pareto principle. Basically, it says 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort. Like, the book gives an example of this salesperson who realized 80% of their sales came from just 20% of their clients.
Wow, that's wild. So most of what we're doing isn't actually contributing to our success.
It's not that it's totally useless, but it's more about figuring out where your effort is having the most impact.
Oh, I see.
It's about pinpointing that crucial 20%, those high impact tasks,
Yeah.
and focusing your energy there.
So how do we even figure out what that magical 20% is? Is there some kind of secret formula?
You don't need a fancy formula. The book suggests good old-fashioned to-do lists, but with a twist. Rank your tasks by importance and urgency. It forces you to be honest with yourself about what really moves the needle towards your goals. What are the tasks that, if you get them done, would have the biggest impact on your progress?
Okay, starting to see how this all fits together. We're laser focused on those high impact tasks. But let's be real, distractions are everywhere. It's like my phone knows exactly when I'm about to get some serious work done. What are some of the book's best tips for actually getting stuff done without getting sucked into the internet black hole?
The power of focus has some really practical strategies, things we can all use. First up, creating a distraction-free zone.
Okay.
That might mean putting your phone on silent, like in another room even, turning off notifications, decluttering your workspace, anything to minimize those tempting distractions.
Oh man, I'm totally guilty of working with a million tabs open and my phone right there. Sounds like I need to set some serious boundaries. What else does the book say?
It also talks about setting boundaries for email and social media. Instead of constantly checking them, set specific times to batch process those messages. That way you can stay focused on your priority tasks for longer stretches.
That makes sense. It's so easy to get caught in that cycle of checking and responding all day long. What about when you need to really hunker down and focus, like when you're writing or working on a creative project?
For those times, the book suggests time blocking.
Time blocking, okay.
It's dedicating blocks of time in your schedule just for focused work. No distractions allowed. You can even put them in your calendar to make it official.
I love that. It's like making an appointment with yourself for focused work. I'm going to try that. Okay, feeling super motivated to up my focus game. But focus isn't a one-time thing, right? It's got to be a consistent effort. What does the book say about building those good habits that help you stay focused over time?
You're absolutely right. The book is all about the power of habit formation when it comes to focus. One of the most impactful habits is starting your day with a clear plan, a schedule.
Oh, interesting.
This sets the tone for a productive and focused day. Instead of rushing out the door feeling all frazzled, you start with intention.
You know, I'm not a morning person, but I can see how starting the day with a plan would make a huge difference. I'm definitely the hit snooze a million times and then scramble type. Are there any other habits the book recommends for staying focused?
Another great habit is taking regular breaks.
Wait, breaks?
I know, it sounds counterintuitive, but hear me out. You've probably heard of the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of focused work, then a 5-minute break.
Oh, yeah.
It helps you stay sharp, avoid burnout, and maintain that focus for longer periods.
I've actually tried that, and it's surprisingly effective. I thought breaks would make me less productive, but they actually help me stay focused longer.
It's about working with your natural energy rhythms and giving your brain a little reset. And of course, the book emphasizes the usual suspects: good sleep, healthy eating, exercise, all that good stuff that impacts our energy levels and mental clarity.
So true. Can't expect to be focused and productive if you're running on empty. Okay, so we're setting goals, prioritizing, ditching distractions, building good habits. But what about when motivation dips? We all have those days, right? How does the book deal with that?
It definitely acknowledges that staying motivated can be tough, especially in the long run. One of the most powerful strategies it recommends is reminding yourself of your why.
Oh, like going back to those big picture goals we wrote down at the beginning.
Exactly. It's about reconnecting with that deeper purpose behind your goals. Why are you doing this? What do you hope to achieve? Tap into that intrinsic motivation. And it's not just about the big picture. It's also about celebrating small wins along the way to keep that momentum going, to feel good about your progress.
Celebrating those little victories is so important. It's like giving yourself mini rewards for staying on track. I love that the book emphasizes that.
Those small wins can really add up and fuel your motivation. And finally, the book talks about having a good support system. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage your focus and understand your goals. That positive reinforcement can make a world of difference.
I think we all need our own personal cheer squad, right? Having people who believe in you and support your goals is huge for motivation. Okay, so we're feeling motivated, we've got our support system, but let's not forget that even with all the focus in the world, we're going to face obstacles. No one's journey is perfectly smooth.
So true. And the book acknowledges that setbacks are inevitable. But it also provides some really helpful strategies for dealing with them, for staying focused, even when things get tough.
I've definitely had my fair share of setbacks. What does the book say about bouncing back from those challenges? How do we stay focused when it feels like everything's going wrong?
It emphasizes keeping a positive mindset.
Okay.
It's not about seeing obstacles as failures, but as opportunities to learn. What can you take away from this experience? How can you adjust your approach going forward? It's about being flexible, tweaking your plans when you need to, without losing sight of the bigger picture.
So it's not about being rigid and sticking to the plan no matter what. It's more about adapting, being willing to change course when necessary. I like that.
And above all, it's about persistence. Focus isn't just about intensity, it's about consistent commitment, even when it's tough.
Persistence. That's the key. Showing up even when you don't feel like it. You know what? I think that's a great place to pause for now. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to uncover in the power of focus.
Definitely just scratch the surface.
You know, as we were talking before, it really hit me how the book emphasizes that focus isn't just about, like, external success, like getting that promotion or hitting your fitness goals.
It goes deeper than that, right?
Yes.
It's about crafting a life with real meaning, a life that feels fulfilling. It's about making sure your actions line up with your values and, like, using that focus to build a life that brings you genuine joy, not just, checking things off a list.
Exactly. It's like focus is the key to unlocking your best life, not just your most productive one. I really love that perspective. But how do we actually put that into practice? Does the book give specific examples of how focus plays out in different parts of our lives?
It does. For instance, when it comes to careers, it talks about how focus can help you zero in on your strengths, develop those valuable skills, and ultimately, move forward in your chosen field.
So it's not just about working hard, it's about being strategic with your work, focusing on things that will actually help your career grow.
Right. The book talks about being intentional with your time and energy, choosing projects that align with your long-term goals, and putting in the effort to really excel in those areas. It even gives an example of this young lawyer who was feeling totally overwhelmed by her job.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Right. She was working crazy hours, but didn't feel like she was getting anywhere. By using these focus principles, she was able to figure out which tasks were most important for her career and make those her priority. She also started setting boundaries around her work hours so she could have time for other important parts of her life.
That's such a good example. It's so easy to get bogged down in busy work and lose sight of the bigger picture. What about relationships? How does focus fit in there?
Well, the book highlights how focus can help you build those really strong, meaningful connections with the people you care about most.
So it's about being present, really listening to your loved ones, putting your phone down, giving them your full attention.
Exactly. The authors actually suggest this really interesting exercise. They ask readers to think about a recent conversation they had with someone they care about. Did they really listen to what the other person was saying, or were they distracted by their own thoughts, or maybe even their phone? It's a powerful reminder that even in our closest relationships, focus is crucial for truly connecting.
I'm definitely guilty of getting distracted sometimes during conversations. It's so easy to let your mind wander, especially with everything going on in life. But I can definitely see how consciously making an effort to be present and focused could really improve the quality of our relationships.
It really can. The book also talks about being intentional, about nurturing those relationships, setting aside dedicated time for quality interactions, and showing up consistently for the people you care about.
That makes me think of something I read recently about the importance of quality time versus quantity time. It's not about how much time you spend with someone, it's about making that time count.
Exactly. And that's where focus comes in. When you're focused on the person you're with, you can really connect with them on a deeper level. You're able to listen attentively, understand their point of view, and build a stronger bond.
Okay, so we've talked about careers and relationships. What about health and fitness? How does focus help us reach our goals in those areas?
Well, just like with anything else, focus is essential for setting clear goals, creating a plan to achieve those goals, and sticking to that plan even when you're faced with temptations or setbacks.
So, like, if you want to lose weight, it's not enough to just say, I want to lose weight. You need to be specific. How much weight do you want to lose? By when? What steps are you going to take to get there?
Exactly. And then it's about making conscious choices that support your health and well-being, choosing healthy foods, making time for exercise, getting enough sleep. It's about staying focused on your long-term goals, even when you're tempted to skip a workout or eat that extra slice of cake.
It sounds like focus is all about making choices that align with your values and goals, whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your health.
You got it. It's about being the CEO of your own life, making decisions that support your overall well-being.
I love that. What about personal growth? How does focus fit into that? It seems a bit more abstract than these other areas we've talked about.
That's a great point. The book talks about how focus can help you learn new skills, expand your knowledge, and ultimately become the best version of yourself.
So it's about figuring out what areas you want to grow in, setting specific goals for learning, and putting in the time and effort to develop those skills.
Right. Maybe it's learning a new language, picking up a new hobby, or reading books on a topic that interests you. The key is to be intentional about your personal growth and use focus to make it happen.
I love that. It's like focus is the engine that drives personal growth, helping us reach our full potential. And it's not just about reaching those external goals, it's about something much deeper, more meaningful.
Absolutely. That's what makes the power of focus so powerful and inspiring. It shows us that focus isn't just about productivity, it's about fulfillment. It's about creating a life that's in line with your purpose and brings you genuine joy and satisfaction.
Well said. It's about using your focus to build a life you actually love. So if someone is feeling scattered, overwhelmed, just stuck, what would you say to them? Why should they read The Power of Focus?
I'd say this book doesn't just tell you to focus, it actually gives you the tools to do it, which is so helpful. It's like a roadmap to a more focused and fulfilling life.
A roadmap. I love that. It's not just theory, it's about putting it all into practice. And I think that's what makes it so appealing.
Totally. The book is full of practical advice, exercises, and techniques that you can start using right away.
Okay, as we keep going with this deep dive, I'm noticing a theme here. It's like all these different areas of life, our careers, our relationships, our health, our personal growth, they're all connected.
They are. You can't really have a great career if you're neglecting your health or your relationships. And you can't fully enjoy those relationships if you're stressed out by work.
It's like all these pieces fit together to create a balanced, fulfilling life.
Exactly. And focus is the glue that holds it all together.
Mm.
It helps you figure out what's really important and use your time and energy accordingly.
It's about creating that harmony between all the different parts of our lives.
Right. It's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter, making conscious choices, and living in a way that aligns with your values.
It's about taking control and creating a life that reflects what you truly want, your deepest aspirations.
Beautifully put. Living with intention and purpose.
So, as we go deeper into the power of focus, what are some of the key takeaways that have really stuck with you? What are the nuggets of wisdom you've taken from it?
Well, one of the most important takeaways for me is that focus is a skill, not something you're born with. It's something you develop, something you can get better at over time with practice.
Like a muscle you can train.
Exactly. The more you practice focusing, the better you get at it. And that's encouraging because it means anyone can improve their focus no matter where they're starting from.
I love that. It's a message of empowerment. It's like, hey, you can do this.
Absolutely. Another key point is that focus isn't about depriving yourself. It's about empowering yourself. It's not about saying no to everything. It's about saying yes to the things that truly matter.
So it's about being intentional with your choices, making sure your actions are in line with your values and your goals.
Exactly. And finally, I think the book really drives home the point that focus isn't just about productivity. It's about fulfillment. It's about creating a life that aligns with your purpose and brings you joy and satisfaction.
It's about using that focus to build a life you actually love.
Exactly. And I think that's something we can all relate to.
I couldn't agree more. But as we've been discussing, staying focused isn't always a walk in the park. Life throws us curveballs, things don't always go as planned. So how does the power of focus deal with the challenge of staying focused when things get tough?
That's a great question, and the book definitely addresses that. It acknowledges that setbacks are a part of life, but it also gives us some really helpful strategies for dealing with them and staying focused even when things are hard.
So it's not just about setting goals and crossing our fingers, hoping for the best. It's about having a plan for when things go wrong.
Exactly. The book emphasizes the importance of resilience, adaptability, and keeping a positive mindset when we face challenges.
So it's about seeing those obstacles not as failures, but as chances to learn and grow.
Right. And it's about being open to adjusting our plans as needed, but without losing sight of our overall goals.
Flexibility is so important, but how do we actually cultivate that resilience and adaptability? Does the book offer any specific advice?
It does. One thing it stresses is the importance of taking care of ourselves, especially when we're stressed or dealing with tough times.
That makes sense. You can't expect to be focused and productive if you're running on fumes.
Exactly. The book reminds us that we can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being is essential for staying focused and resilient.
So it's about making things like sleep, healthy eating, exercise, and relaxation priorities.
Absolutely. And it's also about knowing when you need to take a break, step back, and recharge.
It's about listening to your body and mind and allowing yourself to rest and recover.
Exactly. And sometimes that might mean adjusting your goals or your timeline. It's okay to be flexible and give yourself grace when you need it.
I think that's such an important message, especially now when everything feels so fast-paced. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to take care of ourselves.
It is. But the book reminds us that self-care isn't selfish. It's crucial. It's about investing in ourselves so we can show up as our best selves for the things that truly matter.
So true. And what about seeking support from others? Does the book touch on that?
It does. The book talks about how important it is to reach out for support, whether it's from friends, family, a therapist, or a mentor.
It's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely. Sometimes just talking things through with someone you trust can help you see things more clearly, gain a new perspective. That can be super helpful for staying focused and moving forward.
I love that. It's about recognizing that we don't have to face challenges alone. There are people who care about us and want to help.
Exactly. By reaching out, we build resilience and get better at handling tough situations.
So, we've talked about resilience, adaptability, self care, and getting support from others. But what about those internal struggles we face when trying to focus? Those times when our mind is racing, we're overwhelmed, and we just can't seem to settle down and concentrate.
That's something we all experience, and the book offers some helpful ways to manage those internal distractions.
Tell me more. What does it suggest?
Well, one technique it recommends is mindfulness meditation.
Taking a few minutes to sit quietly, focus on your breath, and just observe your thoughts without judgment.
Exactly. Mindfulness meditation can help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, which can make it easier to handle those internal distractions.
That makes sense. It's about creating some space between you and your thoughts so you can choose how to respond to them instead of just reacting automatically.
You got it. And another technique is journaling.
Oh, yeah, taking time to write down your thoughts and feelings.
Right. It can help you process those thoughts and get them out of your head. Journaling can be a powerful way to clear mental clutter and reduce that feeling of overwhelm.
I can see how that would be really helpful. It's like giving your thoughts a place to go so they're not just bouncing around in your head all the time.
Exactly. And by writing them down, you might even gain some new insights and perspectives that you didn't realize before.
What about those times when we're feeling super stressed or anxious? Does the book have any tips for managing those feelings?
It does. It suggests doing things that help you relax and de-stress, like going for a walk in nature, listening to calming music, or spending time with people you love.
Taking care of your mental and emotional well-being is so key for staying focused.
Absolutely. When you're stressed or overwhelmed, it's way harder to concentrate and be productive.
For me, when I'm stressed, my mind just won't quit. It's like I can't turn off all the mental chatter.
That's totally normal. But by doing things that help us relax and de-stress, we can calm our minds and create a more peaceful state of mind.
And that makes it much easier to focus on what we need to get done.
Exactly. It's all about setting the stage for focus to thrive.
Well, I think we've covered a ton of ground here, but there's still more to explore in the power of focus. I'm already feeling inspired to really step up my focus game and use these principles in my own life.
Me too. It's amazing how a small shift in mindset and a few practical strategies can make such a big difference.
It really is. But before we jump into the final part of our deep dive, I want to pause and reflect on what we've discussed so far. What stands out to you as the most powerful insight from the power of focus?
That's a great question. For me, it's the idea that focus isn't just about achieving outward success, but about creating a life that aligns with our core values and what we truly want in life. It's about using focus to build a life that we truly love.
I love that. It's about living a life that feels meaningful, purposeful.
Exactly. And I think that's a message that can resonate with anyone, regardless of their specific goals or dreams.
Beautifully said. So as we continue our deep dive into the power of focus, let's keep that in mind. Focus isn't just about checking things off our to-do list. It's about building a life we're proud of, a life that brings us joy and fulfillment.
I'm excited to explore more of these powerful ideas.
We're back. And wow, this deep dive into the power of focus has been incredible. I feel like I've learned so much about, harnessing my own focus to actually achieve my goals and build a more fulfilling life.
It's been quite a journey. The book is a goldmine of practical advice and inspiring insights.
Totally agree. Before we wrap things up, let's recap some key takeaways for our listeners. What are some of the most important things they should remember from the power of focus?
Well, I think one of the most powerful things is that focus is a choice. It's not something that just happens to us. It's something we have to actively cultivate.
We have the power to decide what we put our attention on.
Absolutely. We're not just at the mercy of our circumstances or distractions. We can choose to direct our attention to the things that really matter.
That's such a powerful point. And what about the idea that focus is a skill?
Oh, that's another key takeaway for sure. It's a skill that we can develop and strengthen over time, just like a muscle that gets stronger with use.
So don't get discouraged if you're not feeling super focused right now.
Yeah?
You can work on it, get better at it over time.
Exactly. And the book gives us so many practical tips to improve focus, like mindfulness meditation, time blocking, creating that distraction-free environment.
And what about that connection between focus and fulfillment?
That's another one that really resonated with me. Focus isn't just about being productive, it's about feeling fulfilled. It's about using that focus to create a life that's in line with your values and brings you joy.
It's about living a life that feels meaningful, not just constantly busy.
Precisely. And I think that's something we all want.
I couldn't agree more. The power of focus really hammers home the point that focus isn't just a tool to get things done, it's a way of life.
Yeah, it's about being present in each moment and making choices that support our well-being.
Well said. So, if you're feeling scattered, overwhelmed, or just stuck, I highly recommend checking out The Power of Focus. It can really change things for you.
Couldn't agree more. It's one of those books that can truly transform your life.
Now, as always, we like to leave our listeners with something to think about. Based on all these amazing insights from The Power of Focus, what's one area of your life where you think you could benefit from a little more focus?
That's a great question for some self-reflection. And once you've got that area in mind, think about one small step you can take, like today, to start cultivating more focus in that area.
Exactly. Remember, small changes can lead to big results.
It's all about consistency, taking those small steps and building that momentum over time.
So start small, be consistent, and watch what happens as the power of focus starts to transform your life. A huge thanks to our expert for sharing all these amazing insights.
It was my pleasure. Always love diving into these thought-provoking topics.
And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the power of focus. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring.
Until next time, stay curious and keep those minds sharp.